Hi, I'm Don. Welcome to Our Cruise Life.
I'm Kathleen. We are cruising aboard the MSC Seashore, and we're in Ocean Cay Reserve, their private island. It's beautiful.
Now, in most of our videos, I'd be giving you a tour of the seashore, but I've already done that, so the link should be right down there. Instead, in this video, we want to talk about how cruising has changed since the pandemic. Are you ready for this?
I am.
All right, let's go. Let me state right up front, right now, that Kathleen and I love to cruise. But cruising has changed a lot in the last year. Remember 2019? 2019 was a record-breaking year for the cruise industry, but the COVID pandemic shuttered everything. The CDC was especially hard on the cruise industry, or so it seems. Well, that was bad. The cruise lines lost billions of dollars, and cruise lovers like us, well, we lost our favorite way to travel. When cruising did return, it did so slowly and cautiously. It was still bad for the cruise lines, but great for cruise lovers like us, who were able to cruise inexpensively and on uncrowded ships. Honestly, it spoiled us. The low prices enabled us to cruise often, and we did, sometimes even twice a month. Well, that was then. Now, COVID is not such a threat. The restrictions have been removed, and cruise sales are through the roof in 2024. That's good for the cruise lines and their stockholders, but not so good for cruise lovers like us. Cruising is one of those travel industries whose pricing is dynamic. That means the greater the demand, the higher the prices. With the end of the COVID restrictions, cruise sales have been soaring. Now, popular cruises are not only too expensive for us, but the cruise ships are too crowded for us. At least that's the way it seems to those of us who enjoyed those inexpensive, uncrowded ships right after the pandemic. By the time we recorded the intro to this video in January of 2024, I was tired of the high prices, the long lines, the crowded ships and ports. Crowding often makes passengers angry, aggressive, and competitive. I don't like that. Cruising with others should be fun. Reality does not match the advertising. So, I announced to Kathleen that the thrill was gone, and I wanted to do something other than cruise in 2024. But what? We decided to try several non-cruising options, including things closer to home. So far, we have visited a unique botanical garden near our home in Florida and watched the mermaids at Weeki Wachee. We also purchased season passes to Universal Studios, Orlando, and we traveled to Branson, Missouri for a week. We are blessed to live in Florida where the weather is nice most of the time, and there is a plethora of things to do and see. Yes, I said plethora. So we decided to do some things that are not so touristy, as well as a couple of theme parks. Let's get started with Cedar Lake Woods and Gardens. Located in Williston, Florida, Cedar Lakes is a century-old abandoned lime rock quarry transformed into a 20-acre botanical garden. That's a mouthful. The quarry is filled with hundreds of species of plants, flowers, and wildlife. The entry cost is only $12. It's a nice way to spend a couple of hours, but it certainly is not a cruise. Next, we'll take a look at a state park on the west coast of Florida that has mermaids. Opened in 1947, Weeki Wachee is a great example of Florida's roadside tourism industry before Disney. Now a Florida state park, the main attraction are those twice-daily mermaid shows. The underwater 300-seat theater provides an excellent view of the 30-minute shows. But there's more, including a spring-fed water park and a very nice but short riverboat cruise. The best part, It is only $13 per adult to get in, even less for kids. Bottom line, it is a wonderful state park worthy of the drive from the major theme parks over in Orlando. That said, it still can't compare with a cruise. So let's kick it up a notch and visit one of those big theme parks in Orlando. Universal Resort Orlando. It's an amazing place. It is actually 3 theme parks in one. Universal Studios features attractions springing from major motion pictures like Harry Potter, Despicable Me, The Simpsons, Men in Black, E.T., Jurassic Park, Fast and Furious, Revenge of the Mummy, and more, of course. There are actually 3 theme parks here: Universal Studios, Islands of Adventure, and a water park called Volcano Bay. The good news is that there is enough here to fill your vacation, 1 or even more weeks. The bad news is that the parks are both crowded and expensive. There is a plethora of pricing options, but a good starting point is about $119 per person per day. Express passes will add another $100 per day per person. Add parking, food, and hotel, and a family of 4 could easily spend $1,000 a day at Universal, and that doesn't even include the cost to get to Orlando. We purchased season tickets as Florida residents for under $400 each with blackout dates. When all is said and done, a week at Universal Resorts could easily cost much more than a cruise. There's still one more thing to talk about. In April of 2024, I found an amazing deal on airfare from Tampa to Bentonville, Arkansas on Allegiant Airlines. So we planned a week in the Ozarks. Now, I grew up in southwest Missouri, so this was somewhat of a homecoming for me. We rented a car in Bentonville, visited family and friends in Joplin and Carthage, then booked on over to Branson. Now, a family could easily spend a week vacationing in the Ozarks, seeing the music shows, shopping, enjoying Table Rock Lake, and of course spending a day at Silver Dollar City. One of our favorite places in Branson is Dick's 5 and 10. This is a classic dime store where you can easily spend a couple of hours perusing the thousands of unique items. There is plenty of mountain beauty to enjoy here in the Ozarks. But the crown jewel of all the attractions, it's gotta be Silver Dollar City. I have been visiting this attraction since the 60s. In fact, I was here with my friend Steve in July of 1969 when NASA first landed on the moon. And through the decades, this family-owned park evolved into a first-class theme park. In fact, TripAdvisor rates it as the #1 theme park in the USA. Like Universal, Silver Dollar City is actually several attractions in one. Under the park is Marble Cave. Nearby is Whitewater Water Park. And out in Table Rock Lake is the Showboat Branson Belle. There are thrilling roller coasters, a steam train, and lots of delicious places to eat. After all these years, Silver Dollar City continues to exceed my expectations. How much does it cost, you ask? One-day tickets are currently $89. Two-day tickets are $109, and three-day tickets are just $119. And at the time of this recording, season passes started at $165. In full disclosure, our week-long trip to the Ozarks, including airfare from Florida, parking, car rental, hotels, food, and of course Silver Dollar City, was in the neighborhood of $2,000. So, there you have it. Our attempt to do something other than cruise in the first half of 2024. To quote Gomer Pyle, surprise, surprise. Now we want to return to cruising. What changed our minds, you ask? Well, two important discoveries. Number one, everything is expensive everywhere. High demand and high inflation are driving prices higher everywhere, even in the Ozarks. And number two, most popular destinations are not only expensive, they are crowded. Americans really want to travel this year. Long queues are to be expected, as is heavy traffic. Unfortunately, this is the new norm. Bottom line, we did not escape high prices or crowds with alternatives to cruising. So now we want to return to cruising. Unfortunately, that's easier said than done. So, how can we make this happen? Here's some thoughts that we have learned so far. 1. Book further out. We have already booked a transatlantic cruise in late November and just booked our Valentine cruise for next year. Here's something else. Good deals are possible if we are willing to be flexible. Peak season is pretty much any time students are out of school. We will look for lower prices in the fall, winter, and early spring when the kids are back in school. Likewise, the most expensive cruises are on those new shiny ships. You can save by booking on the older ships, knowing that those shiny new ships will soon be ousted by new shiny new ships. Okay, number 3, think out of the box. We just booked a cruise aboard Margaritaville's new ship called the Islander. Prices are comparable to Carnival or Royal, but unlike the main brands, there is still space available on the 2 Margaritaville ships. Next, let's talk about those crowds. Number 1, again, is the same. Be flexible. Ships are most crowded midday on sea days. Plan accordingly. Boarding is most crowded as soon as the boarding is open. Go to the buffet earlier. Go to the dining room later. Use room service. Enjoy your balcony. Get creative. And the early shows are usually more crowded than the second show. How about this one? Don't expect to get a pool lounger on sea days unless you are willing to come early and stay late. There are 500 loungers and 5,000 passengers. Do the math. And of course, hoarding the chairs is still a problem. Take advantage of the recreation decks on port days when many of the passengers are off the ship. Are you seeing a pattern yet? Remember the rule of 4 Ps. Prior planning prevents problems. So, that has been our journey so far in 2024. We started with a high level of frustration over prices and crowding, so we set out to do something different than cruise. We thoroughly enjoyed the Ozarks and hope to do it again in the fall, same with Universal Studios, but our hearts have returned to cruising. Well, that's it. Thanks for watching, and one last time,
Please subscribe and hit the notification bell. Thank you.
see you next time.
Bye-bye.